Now, younger people are fed up with the Republican Party, and they happen to be leaving. Now, according to a new analysis from the Pew Research Center, about 23% of Republican voters aged 18 to 29, those are millennials, have now switched parties since 2015. That is against just 9% of Democratic voters who have switched in the same age range. So you have a lot of Republicans that are being fed up and disgusted with the way that the Republican Party is going, and they're like, I'm done with this. I'm going to leave this party. This is ridiculous. Now, these are the same, primarily millennials, again, they're tired of the Republican Party because the Republican Party doesn't represent their values. They insist on defending the old ways. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, on some social and economic issues, the Republican Party is stuck in the I should dare say, 1850s. Now, let's take a couple of examples of these issues. Gay marriage, for example. Now, back in 1996, Gallup found that 68% of American adults opposed gay marriage. 27% were in favor. Now, 61% of Americans favor same-sex marriage. Now, millennials happen to be a big part of that, with 71% of them supporting same-sex marriage. So, the Republican Party on that, their stance on that issue is not in line with most millennials. Now, odds are that they know somebody who's gay, and to them, it's not a big issue. Thus, this is not a big issue. Why are we still talking about this? Why are we arguing about this? It's a civil rights issue already. Let's move on. Let's talk about something else. Yet the Republican Party continues to pound this red meat into their bigoted, homophobic base. I'm not saying they're all homophobic, but there's a large, you could trace the homophobia back to the Republican Party. So you have a lot of millennials that are disgusted with that, and they're like, okay, I can't be here. Because gay people are good people. I know a lot of gay people. So they're not bad people. Why are we pushing things like gay reparative therapy and trying to deny them the right to marriage? Let's move on. Let's do something else. So not only that, but there are some other differences. And this was done, this is based on a poll that Republican pollster Frank Luntz had conducted of millennials. It turns out that a lot of millennials are not nationalistic either. 58% of respondents said that they agreed more with the statement, America isn't better or worse than any other countries. Then with America is exceptional, it's better than every other country in the world. So you got a majority of millennials saying, no, we're pretty much the same as every other country. We're not better. We're, or worse. We're a good country, but we're not the best. We're not number one. And look, you can go to different metrics to show that we are definitely not number one. We're not number one in education. We're not number one in healthcare. We're not number one in some of these different factors that a lot of Republicans tend to claim that we are. We're not the most free. Okay. And again, there are actual facts that go and bear that out. Not only that, 35% of 18 to 26-year-olds, including 42% of 18 to 21-year-olds, say that they consider themselves more of a citizen of the world than of just the United States. Now, those poll numbers deeply contradict the Republican nationalism. The America, we're number one, yeah. A lot of millennials are like, no, we're not. And we have facts to show that. Nationalism, look, patriotism is not the same as nationalism. I have to say that. Now, the Republican Party is hugely nationalistic. But again, that's not the same as being a patriot. A patriot says, hey, we do have problems in the country, and guess what? I want to fix them. But you can only fix them if you identify the problem first. So, people that are calling out the issues with the American system when it comes to the justice system, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to incarceration, when it comes to all these different factors, when you call out the problems with these institutions, you are more of a patriot than somebody that says, America number one, we're the best. There are no problems with America, we're great. No, we're not great. We can be great. We can be better if we actually fix these real problems. And again, that completely contradicts with Republican orthodoxy. So makes sense that millennials are shying away from the Republican Party on those grounds as well. Now there's more. In response to the question, which type of political system do you think is the most compassionate? 58% of millennials said that socialism, and 9% said communism were more compassionate. Just 33%, a third, chose capitalism. Now, you guys know me, right? I'm a proponent of a true mixed market system, where you have strong safety nets, a lot of public investment, and basically you've got your elements of socialism there, socialized healthcare, for example, education, but also private investment. I don't want the government to make sneakers. I want it to do education and healthcare, but I want private industry to do what it does best. Sell me clothes, shoes, computers, TVs, etc. Right? Government basically should be there to make sure that those corporations are selling things that are safe, paying their workers fairly, and building these things, building these products in a way that is environmentally responsible. That should be the role of government. Basically, to regulate business to make sure that it's fair to the consumer. Now, millennials grew up in the middle of the Great Recession. Now, right now, and then, we had major extreme predatory capitalism, where companies essentially privatize their gains and socialize their losses. That is a system that a lot of millennials have grown up in. So, of course, they're going to say, yeah, capitalism has been screwing me over all my life. While these corporations continue to get richer and richer and richer, of course I'm not in favor of capitalism. It's actually doing more harm than good. Now, the belief that many millennials have when it comes to that deeply contradict the Republican Party's focus on free markets and deregulation, and what many see as huge corporate greed. In fact, 66% of the poll's respondents said corporate America embodies everything that is wrong with America, and I absolutely agree. Now, finally, more young Americans declared that the most pressing issue facing America today is income inequality. That is the biggest issue. Income inequality followed by education, specifically its cost. Both issues the Republican Party has shown that it doesn't give a damn about. They want less education and more income inequality. They want to put more money into the hands of the wealthiest Americans. It's no surprise that as many as half of Republicans 30 and under have abandoned the party at one point or another during this time. The Republican Party is losing people in droves. And it's because they don't line up with the value of a majority of millennials, of younger people. In fact, Frank Luntz in this survey called our generation terrifyingly liberal. I love that. Now, do you know who's the most popular politician in America, by the way? Among millennials, that's Bernie Sanders. 31% said Bernie Sanders is the major political figure they like and respect the most. More than Obama, which was 18%, and more than Hillary Clinton. And again, this was part of the poll that was taken last year. So Hillary Clinton's probably a lot lower now. My guess. Fewer young people like and respect Republicans. 9% choosing Trump, 5% George W. Bush, and 5% Ted Cruz. All in all, 66% of young Americans chose a Democratic political figure. Admiration of Bernie Sanders is especially strong among the younger half of respondents, with 40% of 18 to 20-year-olds saying he's the political figure they most like and respect. And again, Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician among young people and among a majority of Americans, 61%, according to a recent Fox News poll. Now, just because young people are turning on the Republicans doesn't mean the Democrats have it made either. That doesn't mean that these young people are flocking into the Democratic Party. Now remember, the Democratic establishment, they despise Bernie Sanders. Why? Because he actually wants progressive reform. That doesn't mesh with the establishment basically continuing to go into a neoliberal direction. They want to stay in this neoliberal, corporate-friendly direction. Now, millennials flock to Bernie Sanders, not because he's hip, not because of, but because of his policies. Okay, it's all about the policies. It's always been about the policies. Now, when the establishment attacks Bernie Sanders as being fanciful and unrealistic, they actually are attacking the policies that millennials believe in and want to see implemented on a national level. See, that's why so many millennials are disaffected with the Democratic Party, as well as leaving the Republican Party. The policies from both represent a more status quo establishment mentality that millennials, it does not jive with us, okay? Now, to be fair to the Democratic Party, they are actually the closest vehicle, as of right now, in getting some of these progressive reforms. That's why Bernie Sanders continues to stress that we should primary our politicians and change the Democratic Party from within. And if that doesn't work, create a new party that's more in line with millennials policy-wise. Now, my advice to the Democrats is, if you want to capitalize on this, on the fact that so many younger people are progressive, are liberal, are leaving the Republican Party and want a place to go, well, look, you want to capitalize on this and start winning? I can tell you how. You only need to look at what the most popular politician in America, among young people and among Americans overall, is saying and doing. And that is Bernie Sanders. Look at what he's saying. Forget about this, about the over-focus on how bad the Republicans are. We know they're bad. And on identity politics. Focus on the policies that are going to help Americans. Focus on the economic policies. That's what's important. That's what Bernie Sanders ran on. If you look at those policies and start to implement them, like supporting Medicare for all, for example, $15 minimum wage tied to inflation, universal health care, which I already mentioned, but universal higher education that is tuition free. Those policies are not only incredibly popular with the majority of the American people, they're super popular among millennials. You want to take advantage of this, do those policies. That's it. Now, are they going to do that? Likely not. But if you ever want to win, that's the direction that you need to go. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.